In this video, you will be shown the process of how to admit a patient with incapacity management. We will cover both the process of an elective admission as well as an acute admission. To begin with, for the acute admission, this process will be done within the pre-admit list tab of capacity management, and you will require the PM conversation icon. When you select the PM conversation icon, you will be presented with two options to either pre-admit the patient or complete a full non-elective admission. The pre-admission is for circumstances where the patient has not arrived yet, but they are on the way in. So we can pre-admit the patient, and this would give us the ability to reserve the patient a bed on a particular ward, so as when the patient does arrive, we know the exact destination that that patient is due to go to. The alternative scenario is to complete a full inpatient non-elective admission, which would only be done if the patient has already arrived to the hospital. For the purposes of this video, I will be covering a pre-admission. So this will be if the patient is due to come in, maybe in an hour's time, we can pre-admit them so that we can reserve them a bed. I would first select the pre-admission option, which will load up with a patient search window. Now, for this particular process, the only staff that will be able to complete these steps are those that possess a smart card. The reason for this is you must be using the minimum data set for the patients. So this is the patient's surname, the gender, and the date of birth. By using the minimum data set, this will trigger for us to be able to complete the PDS search option, which will enable the patient's record within EPR to synchronise with the spine, and this will guarantee that the patient's demographic information is completely up to date. Now, because I am using a system where I'm not able to use a smart card, I will not be able to show these steps for the PDS. We do have a separate video on how to complete a PDS search. So if you do want an understanding as to how to do the PDS search correctly, please go watch this video to enable you to be able to complete this. But once you have found the patient and you have completed the PDS search, you will then be able to add encounter in the bottom right hand corner. And then you will be able to enter the organisation details. Never fill anything within the client name at the top of the screen. This should always remain blank. And you should only be filling in the facility, which should cover the exact facility that the patient is due to be admitted to. So for example, if the patient was going to Westwood Park, we would be entering Westwood Park at this point. Once you press enter, you should be able to find the hospital that you are looking for. Ensuring you highlight the correct option and press OK. And at this stage, you will then have your screen for the pre-admission. Any field that is in yellow are your mandatory fields. Pressing OK to this screen, then the patient who you have pre-admitted will then show in the pre-admit list. As soon as this patient does actually arrive, you can drop the patient down. So this option will come up as soon as you hover over the patient's details in capacity management. You can drop this down. At this point, you can either cancel the pre-admit list if we're no longer expecting the patient, but I'm going to come to the PM conversation, and now I am going to complete the full non-elective admission. It will take you back into the screen that I was presented with a few minutes ago, but at this stage, I will be able to verify that all of the information is still correct. but I can also select which room or bay and the bed that I wish the patient to go into. Now you can either drop the option down, or you can select the bed board, which will actually show you a list of all of the bed statuses as well. So I can see that this bed or chair is available. I've also got a bed down here that's available. So again, depending on the circumstances, select the destination and press OK. Now, as soon as I enter the visit date and time, so it is now today now, I can press OK, and that will then admit the patient straight onto the bed board, and the patient is now here. So that is the process for an acute admission. Now, the alternative is an elective admission, which this will be done via the transfer list. Now, for an elective admission, this patient has already been to see their doctor in an outpatient appointment, and the doctor will have requested for them to have an admission for a surgery or a test, for example. This would then have gone to the bookings team, who would have scheduled in the surgery or test, and it is today that the patient is due to come in. Now, what would have happened within the system is a bed would have been requested for the patient, and as soon as a bed is requested for the patient, they will appear on the transfer list. As you can see, I have my elective patient here, who's due to come into general surgery on ward 9, and I can see it's a TCI bed reservation, which stands for to come in. So this is my elective patient. And you'll come to recognise these patients, as we can see another one up here that says TCI bed reservation, and another one here. Now, again, you should only be doing this next step when the patient has physically arrived at the hospital. You would hover over the patient, come to the drop down, and complete inpatient elective admission. This will take you into a very similar screen that we was presented with for the acute admission. You would enter the source of admission. So again, I'm going to say that the patients come from their usual place of residence. Same thing with either the drop down or the bed board. This time I will complete the full admission. So I'm going to say to put them actually, I'm going to change the ward destination to ward 9. And once all of the mandatory fields have been completed, you can press OK. Now, please note I did change the ward destination. Now, this is pre-filtered based on the bookings team. So when they booked this patient in for the surgery, the system should automatically populate the correct ward that the patient could be coming to. Now, you could have a scenario where there might not be enough capacity on that particular ward, so the bed managers might decide that they can go to a different ward at this stage. So I have changed the destination, and as soon as I press OK, I wanted to print any wristbands or anything out, but I'm not going to because I'm in training. So I can come down to ward 9 now. My patient should disappear off of the transfer list because I have now admitted them, and they will come onto the bed board down at the bottom. I'll just find where they are. You can see here that the patient is now in the bay and the bed that I selected. The final admission type is an A&E admission. So if it is decided that the patient needs to be admitted onto a ward, whoever makes the decision that that patient needs to be admitted should be requesting a bed for that patient. As soon as a bed is requested, the patient will appear up onto the transfer list, where we can then reserve a bed for the patient. As soon as that bed is available, we can then go ahead and request a porter, but the staff down in A&E would be requesting the porter, not the ward staff. And as soon as the porter then brings the patient to the bed and completes the transfer on their screen, the patient will be in the bed. So there should not be any requirements from the ward staff to complete these steps. This should all be done by the A&E department, who would request the porter themselves.